gelişim değil. Ama bu defa onları yerle bir etmek için buradayım.
Her şey bitti. Çok geç kaldı bu savaşa. Beni orada The mythical beasts fall. Wildcats roar.
Alles stand in Flammen. Aber jetzt ist die Zeit für Rache.
Napotkałem na swojej drodze wiele trudności, jednak tym razem nic mnie nie powstrzyma. Quiero demostrar al resto que es un momento de brillar.
Karmine Corp have done it. Back to back EU Masters Champions.
On vous a manqué. Il est temps de reprendre ce qui nous appartient.
Welcome to the EMEA Masters. My name is Hipbrand and I am joined once again by Trouble as we're kicking off day number 3 of action, and we will be watching all of those Group C teams today. Trouble, everybody has had a chance to play now. At least if you watch this broadcast or the side broadcast, you should have been able to see most of these teams play by now. How are we feeling coming into day 3?
I mean, pretty good. There's actually a lot of variety when it comes to different regions that are actually top of their groups. We're going to see later on the groups as well. But mainly, Group B yesterday was kind of blew open because we expected SK Gaming Prime to be on the top. BK Rogue then came in. Thank you very much for the highlights as well. As you can see right here, we started with a bang. We had Macko win a bunch of games in Group C. And yesterday, we saw the second seed from PG Nuts, Desire, grab their first victory. And it was very decisive. Desire played very well. We're shocked for a second. We're like, hold on a minute. Is PG Nuts actually a real threat to the major regions coming into EMEA Masters? Picking up the first victory right here looked good. Did it certainly continue to be the case for the rest? But that was still a pretty good showing for day 1.
I think the main thing is, from Desire, we saw a lot of promise from this team.
Yeah.
It might not have been the absolute, you know, the perfect showing, but we saw a lot. We did see a lot of promise. And then obviously, game number 2, BK Rogue from France going up against SK Prime from Germany. And BK Rogue, this didn't even look remotely fair. Like, they absolutely slapped them around. It was such a brutal game. And then Chekalad, he got Azir.
My God.
Don't give this man Azir.
I don't know, man. He's Tristana, he's Azir. They both looked absolutely incredible. Later on, he also played Talia. We talked a little bit to Lurks about SK Prime's first game versus BK Rogue, and he did say that, you know what, we didn't take a lot of chances. Well, they did take a lot of chances later on. They played a lot more aggressive. We saw Prime on his infamous Blitzcrank as well. They did manage to turn the day around for them from 0-1 to 2-1, so they're still looking pretty good. I'm still waiting to see that rematch that's going to happen for them versus BK Rogue, because I don't think that was the banger that we were expecting. They're just going to sat there and ended up losing to BK Rogue. Now, that was a game I actually had my sights on, because BK Rogue literally got tested by Desire. That was actually a pretty winnable game by Desire right there. They ended up overextending. I don't know what it is about inhibitor towers in the bot lane and the top lane, but when teams tend to overextend over those, they get overchased and then they get caught. And Desire ended up losing a pretty good advantage that they had in this particular game versus BK Rogue. And BK Rogue ended up driving this one home, sitting at the very top of the group with 3-0. But yeah, this is the kind of game that I look at for Desire and PG Nuts in general. I'm like, wow, they're actually showing a lot of strength for PG Nuts.
Yeah.
Macko sitting 3-0 in a group with K Corp, and Desire sitting 1-2, almost taking down BK Rogue in Group B.
Well, we have got Group C today, and as you can see, Macko are sitting at the top of their group. Group D is the only one which actually has anyone tied for that top spot, so pretty close over there, over in Group D. Not overly unexpected. That's a very, very stacked group over there. So expectations were that Group D was going to be an absolute banger group, and so far that has been the case. But yeah, over here in Group C, Macko definitely looking like a really, really solid team. And the question is are they going to be able to keep that form coming into today's games? Because our first game is going to be them versus Karmine Corp. So maybe there's a chance for a little bit of revenge. North Assist, they've got some work to do today. They are 0-3 at the bottom of the table. They are starting out, I'd say, slightly easier as they are taking on the team who are only just 1 point ahead of them in natives. and that might be their moment to try and get a win under the belt and try and get that momentum going forward. But here's today's games. Got a lot of action coming up. That first game, though, I mean, we're opening on an absolute banger. Macko versus Karmine Corp. I don't even know where to start with this, because I never in a million years expected to see Macko 3-0 in a group where Karmine Corp are also in that group, but that's the world we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to start by introducing Macko to you guys, because these guys are absolutely insane in the region. They have won 5 PG Nats championships. They've only lost 1 last year. Other than that, they're the only team that keeps constantly winning over in Italy. And you know what? They brought the flair of Italy finally over at EMEA Masters Spring 2023. Literally last split by making their first quarterfinals appearance ever for the Italian region. And honestly, they have looked so strong. They played the game versus Karmine Corp. They absolutely demolished that one. A lot of questions left from that one towards K-Corp, but honestly, Macko look like a very strong contender, not only to just make quarterfinals, because that would be their second time here, but actually contest into going further into this tournament this time.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a team that have had a lot of appearances at EMEA, but never really had that appearance that has made really stick for them until spring of this year. 5 appearances, 1 quarterfinals, and they've come back with a vengeance into summer, looking really, really solid. A few names who I know me and you will definitely be a little bit familiar with on this team. You know, where are we really looking though, Trouble? Who are we looking at on Macko as kind of like a standout player, or is it you just think they work really well as a unit?
Also, I feel they work really well as a unit, but one person that we have to shout out right here, I think would have to be C-Boy. The guy started over, you know, from the NLC, and he grew to such a great player that he is right now over in PG Nats, has played for Macko for the longest time now, and honestly, it seems like the team always comes together, and he aids them so well. Also, VZZ, he played for a very long time over in the Balkans, managed to find himself over in the PG Nats as well. I think he's a very solid AD carry, and in an AD carry-focused meta where he can be facilitated by someone like C-Boy, I think this is where he thrives, and he did show that even on the game that they played in the previous days versus Karmine Corp.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Karmine Corp, on the other hand, are LFL representative, the team that have drummed up probably the most noise we've ever had.
My God.
Here. They just bring up so much hype. They're such a vocal fan base, such a loyal fan base, and always got high expectations. Always will have high expectations between them. But, you know, you could see in their previous matchup, Macko versus them were just able to really stick it to them. It was, you know, probably a little bit of a shocker for Karmine Corp, and they're going to come into today now with probably a little bit more readiness, because I feel like this was the game that maybe Karmine Corp went, okay, don't worry about Macko, they're going to be an easier team to take out. But no, not the case at all.
Yeah, they have a lot of work to do from the last one, but let's not forget they are the only back-to-back EMEA Masters champions. If there was a team that created an era over at EMEA Masters, EU Masters back then, it is Karmine Corp. It was the LFL, and they're coming back with their core trio back in action. Seiken, Syncroft, Targamas. These 3 guys were so pivotal for the team's success. They dominated through 2021. They took the ERLs by storm, and the fact that the OGs are back in action, dominating the LFL, that is, of course, step 1. Step 2 is dominating EMEA Masters, and they're right here to do this. They've only dropped 1 game versus Macko. There were a lot of question marks when it comes to the draft on that one, but I'm pretty sure that they've studied that, and they're back to take revenge on this one.
Well, I think that's a good place to jump into that matchup and into this rematch was the champ select, because yeah, Macko just kind of hard out-drafted Karmine Corp. I don't think anyone's really going to deny that. They got the Rail, they got the Rumble, they got the Tristana. They had a Maokai in there as well, and we all know that, like, Maokai, Rail, Rumble as a combination, those 3 alone are just so potent in team fights, and it's that ease of execution. You know, it's not overly hard to kind of set up a winning team fight with the tools those 3 champions then provide. You then have the Xayah for a bit of safety. The Tristana's also relatively safe. I feel like this time around, I'd like to see Karmine Corp not give away so much, because they blind picked the Sejuani as their first pick in that last game. So we'll see what their attention is going to be. Obviously, this time around, Macko are on that blue side, Karmine Corp on the red side, so they do get those 2 power picks in the early stages. But so far, the Azir, the LeBlanc, the Tristana, and the Kled being banned away. Macko really looking to trim Seiken's pool here.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel Seiken is one of the most pivotal parts for K-Corp's success. One of the remainder, the remaining members from the OG days back in 2021. Seiken has remained very faithful when it comes to Karmine Corp. And right here, we do see a lot of these power picks that KC allowed to go through in the previous draft, such as the Tristana, such as the Bramble, being taken away. Now, Macko have a decision right here. The Kaisas, the Jaces, the Sejuani that was picked first from KC the other game around could be taken away from Synkrov. Things like the Poppy as well, that we know that Cabochard can play, or Synkrov can also play. They're going to choose to go towards the Maokai. Now, of course, a very strong pairing with the likes of Maokai is that Jace in the mid lane. You get a lot of AP poke from Maokai, a lot of AD poke from the Jace, and it's a pretty good combo right there. So let's see if KC are going to choose to take that one away.
Well, that Rumble ban obviously does shut down some of what Macko were looking to try and replicate from that game one. But once again, Karmine Corp actually turning their heads towards Synkrov and picking that Sejuani for him. It's not a bad pick. It was just blind pick first, was a little bit of a mistake. We'll see what they look to pair that up with, though, because obviously you really want someone who's melee in either the top or the mid lane to play off that Sejuani. You mentioned the Jace. That is an option. We obviously had that Tryndamere from the last time these two went up against each other, but they are going to go grab their hands onto that Kai'Sa, sorry, to get a little bit of that long-range poke set up early.
And of course, when you're seeing the Kaisa, you can basically pivot into AP or AD Kaisa depending on what your composition looks like. Usually when you lock in something like a Jace, you want the double poke with the Jace and Kaisa, AD and AP. But we'll see what KC are going to choose to go with. You can also go the very traditional route where your Kaisa is more of an AD carry, like Ahri is going to be the choice right here for Sixten to run over in the mid lane paired up with the Maokai. Maokai does have a lot of lockdown, so Ahri can very easily follow up, especially after 6 and when it's long range. So the third choice right here would be, I'm going to assume something like a Xayah maybe for VZZ, or taking something like the Rakan away. I feel like Xayah was one of the most important picks that they had in their previous draft versus Karmine Corp that allowed them to do something, whoa, something like this. But, okay.
I feel like that is ACD kind of...
it's a gangplank.
I feel like that's him kind of predicting something like a Tryndamere top lane and just going, I'm going to have something that can just hold the wave and handle you, but also impact the map with that ultimate. Do you see KC, though, thinking about what they're going to pick up in the mid lane here? Do you decide to switch things up and go towards that top side? And, oh, they were going to go Renekton. They do decide to switch it back out last second to the Cassante. Here for the top side. So not going to be looking to play too much towards Cabochard. He's probably just going to eat a lot of that pressure on the top side and kind of give ACD a bit of a free time in the top side of the map where he can get some farm. But moving towards the bans, we are going to see the Zeri getting taken away here from KC. I expect now with that Kaisa pickup, a lot of ADC bans will be coming in from Karmine Corp. On the other side, probably just looking to trim that mid pool a little bit more for Macko.
Yeah, I would expect to see something like a Xayah also being a ban right here. She's one of the most annoying AD carries to play into, just due to the fact that her ultimate is such a good evasion tool for her, especially when she gets jumped upon. You can very easily force and tank Sejuani ultimates with it as well. There you go. She's out the pool. So we'll see what VZZ chooses to pilot right here. Things like the Ezreal could be very useful into something like a Sejuani. We've seen a lot of Varus being played on lately, and if you choose to go towards something more scaling for the late game, something like the Aphelios could also be a very useful tool. You do have the Gangplank to create a lot of space right now for your carry, so going for more of an immobile version of an AD carry in the bot lane wouldn't be the worst choice.
Jace is going to be the final ban here from Macko. Now moving over towards KC. Expect this to probably just be their mid laner, then look to go towards that bot side and, well, not the bot, towards the bot side, go pick up their support. I suppose they could wait out a little bit longer if they really want, to see what they want to round this team out with here. And it looks like the attention actually may just be towards getting Seiken something that he wants to be playing as early as possible. Are going to switch it out last second once again. And locking in the Sylas here. Actually a really solid pick, because already with the GP and the Maokai, some pretty good ultimates to be stealing away.
Was about to say, now it gets a little bit tricky if you go for an immobile AD carry, because you could be sitting in a Cannon Barrage from the Sylas. You could be facing a lot of roots, stealing away the Maokai ult, but also the Ahri ult gives you so much access to the backline for Sylas in particular. VZZ, he is actually known for things like the Aphelios, mainly the Jinx as well, especially when it's Jinx Aphelios meta. Jinx is one of his go-to AD carries that he has used over the years to make a name for himself. So we need something from the side of Macko to match a lot of the engage. On the other hand side, the Rel could be a really cool tool. Usually when you see mobility carries, you look towards a Thresh, but I feel like you cannot chance it into having just a hook for an engage tool, so Rel will be the choice.
Yeah, nice follow-up as well with the Macko. You can really enable your team for pretty solid team fights. But the problem is when you do lock in tools like that, the Sylas, you know, he can take that Rel ultimate, he can take that GP, he can take the Macko ultimate. There's a lot of really solid ults for him to be stealing away. And over to Karmine Corp now, they could just be looking for something that can kind of keep people at arm's length, also start those fights as well. They've got the stage 1, which is relatively non-committal. They've now got the Rakan that can kind of follow up off the back of that. I think this is a much better draft from what we saw from Karmine Corp versus Macko last time these two went toe-to-toe. I'm curious what you feel like the win conditions are here, Trouble. What are we expecting from these teams going into this game 1?
I feel like it's a much more Karmine Corp draft because they are bullies when it comes to team fighting. They do like to take the brawls and they do like to fly straight into the back line. This is kind of the sense of Karmine Corp, right? And especially when you have tools like the Sylas stealing, the Ari ult, or the Cannon Barrage, and sort of isolating, or rather figuring out how to get to that AD carry in the backline. You've got the Kai'Sa for easy access, so I feel like they do have the tools to play front to back if they so wish to. They've got the Cassantes, they've got the Sejuanis, a lot of disengage and engage tools. But on the other hand side, I feel like that's a very Macko draft. Start to finish, front to back, that's exactly what they do. Macko really likes stacking up Drakes in the early game and creating that into a sole win condition for themselves. That's exactly how they do Karmine Corp down. And right now, they've got the split push tools in their pocket in the likes of Acidi on that Gangplank as well. So the key to success could be either a 1 and 4 or a straight up 5v5 for them.
And one of his specialties here for Acidi is this GP. So eyes on him and how he's going to be able to handle this matchup and what he's going to be able to do for his team. But I do agree, but obviously for the side of KC, it's very much about getting onto that backline. Obviously, VZZ has that cleanse to give him some safety, but once that's blown, the repeat to jump on him is an option for the side of KC. And then, you know, you can only cleanse one thing. If everything's flying at you, it can be a little bit hard. So it's really on Macko to kind of provide a brick wall for which VZZ is going to be able to kind of fire from behind and play this game as safe as possible. Obviously, Acidi will be a menace. If you're trying to jump forward into GP barrels, you're going to lose a lot of HP, and VZZ is going to find it nice and easy to get excited and then be really hard to pin down and deal with.
Yeah. Also, something that worries me right here a little bit for the side of Karmine Corp is that there isn't a lot of damage coming through. There's also going to be the consistent damage coming through from the Kalista. I think Kalista right here, from the Kai'Sa. I think Kalista right here is going to go for more towards the AD build on the side of Karmine Corp, especially since you have AP in the jungle and in the mid lane, the Electrosake having the Sylas. So you are going to have a little bit more consistent damage coming through from your Kai'Sa this game around, unlike an AP Kai'Sa that does like to poke. But I feel like there's so much more damage to come through from the side of Macko that if Kalista takes the wrong ult in, if Seiken gets caught, and one of the two damage dealers go down very early into these team fights later on, it's going to be much easier for Macko to pilot these ones around.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, though, 610 using just that range advantage over Seiken. Seiken really able to do too much at the level 1 in the mid lane. As take a quick look at the bot lane as well to see the current state of it. As expected, as the level 2 comes in immediately, Click jumps straight in. Lovely dodge on the W there. Block on the W from Targamas means that VZZ doesn't get the damage to stick, but the bot lane from KC forced out at level 2. They're going to be feeling that one for a little bit.
Just a little bit as a heads up, it was the other way around when these two teams first played. It was actually Karmine Corp getting the first blood down in the bot lane. So having the call on your Jinx and being able to pressure the enemy ADC out of lane. Now you also have C-Boy sticking around. I think Targamas is going to have to actually abandon the tower. They do have a ward over in the tri-bush towards the tower, but he has to stay away just barely in XP distance for himself when the cannon... Oh, he won't be able to cancel that either. I feel like Kalista took that cannon as well with a W right there. So not the worst case scenario. But when you have a Jinx that wants to get into lane just simply to farm that call later on, but is also already ahead and has pushed you out, it's not the greatest of news.
No, not at all, unfortunately. Syncrof actually able to sneak in and take away the blue buff there from C-Boy. C-Boy not going to be able to pick that buff up, so he is unfortunately going to be down a little bit on the old camp front. Has been spotted out as well by that ward that was placed by Syncrof a moment ago. So they got information on where C-Boy is, while Acidi having a very rough time here versus Cabashard. Cassante doing Cassante things.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, okay, C-Boy, that was a very wise move, by the way. He's thinking that he's going towards the bot lane again. I feel like playing towards the top side of the map is very dangerous right now for C-Boy. He showed on the map. It is fully warded on his top quadrant as well. Seiken has a lot of priority mid, which means that he is invadable from mid, top lane, and jungle. So just making sure that he doesn't get caught into his own jungle top side. Yes, he's going to suffer. He's going to suffer when it comes to CS-wise, but he is still down in the bot lane. Khalees does not have a cleanse, but he has the flash. He's going to use it right here, but that is it. That is a very short range AD carry. No cleanse, no flash for the foreseeable future.
I mean, flash for flash when it's click trading his for Khalees. He's going to be so happy with that one. Nice and easy pick up off the back of that. Now it looks like C-Boy maybe looking to make some moves towards the mid lane. Seiken taking a pretty rough trade there. Does still have his flash. And C-Boy, he's only level 3. I believe he was spotted out as he walked out of the bush. So he's just going to head back towards his jungle. He's spotted on a ward, but, you know, he's a little bit behind right now. He's
doesn't have the greatest of mana as well, and because C-Boy has used a lot of his time to try and get that bot lane ahead, try and get that bot lane rolling, he had to avoid getting invaded on the top side of the map as well. It kind of becomes difficult for him to pilot the top side of his map at the moment, so just being a little bit of a nuisance. Seiken had to push in his wave right there, so C-Boy made sure that he is around so Seiken cannot push too much forward. We'll see the first TPs coming in from the mid laners as well right here, so far, so good. It feels like Syncrof is a little bit ahead when it comes to experience and CS right there. So if he does get that first level 6, we could be looking for potentially like a mid lane or a top lane gank.
Yeah, it may just be that option. Right now, though, 610 is going to hit level 6. As Targomas is looking to maybe set something up here on this lane. Just placing some vision, getting some information for his team. He's just going to make his way back down towards the bottom side as Click clears out the ward in the area. Targomas will come and take out the pink in response to Syncrof. Looking to make a play here onto the top side. Acidi has spotted him, but he's a long way away from his tower. Is able to break away, but the problem is the wave is in a really rough state for him. Loses the cannon, and Cabashard can just hold this this wave where he wants it. So Acidi going to be losing out pretty heavily off the back of that.
Yeah, I don't think you can pressure it there. Knowing that the Setsuani is around is actually a bit dangerous for you going down level 6 into this Cassante as well. You definitely don't want to be chancing it. But what he will do, I think what he actually did, is that he ulted the wave, because I'm seeing his ultimate is actually on cooldown. So that is the best case scenario that you can do right there. Pop your ultimate. But right now, since you do not have that global on, that means K-Corp can potentially get it pushed down the bot lane with the pressure of Syncrof from the river as well, and just turn it into a dragon.
That's going to be the game plan. And you said this as well at the beginning, but Macko are the team who typically like to get those early dragons and play off that. But this time, not really having the lane states where they want, are actually going to rotate over because they did have that shove in the bot side. So maybe the lane state was a little bit better than I said it was. The C-Boy is just going to do what the Maokai does, put the saplings down in the area and make moving into the river just really painful and hard for any team who's going to look for it. And Macko now, it's on them to start up this Infernal Drake.
Yeah, they have the priority bot lane. You've got the area pretty even wave state in the mid lane, but I think the bot lane is what has been bleeding from the very get-go. Syncrof right now is going to spot out C-Boy doing the dragon. Level 5 on both of these junglers, so their big CC ultimates are not quite up and running. And I don't think that KC can actually walk up to this one. 610 from the mid lane.
They're going to try.
With Seiken.
Syncrof waiting in on that Q. Click's going to play interrupt. Targomas finds himself the knock-up, but they do put the traps down. They won't let him go near. There's going to be the dragon. Syncrof flash forward. VZZ's getting the damage off, and now he's excited. First blood's been picked up for the side of Targomas, but he is losing out so heavily off the back of this. VZZ and 610, though, have to make this fight happen as VZZ dodges away on the knock-up. He's flashless. He's got the cleanse, but it's not going to save his life. KC answer back in style.
That was such a great read right there. I feel like Synchro tanked everything that Macko threw his way, but it's a Sejuani, passive is apps, is so difficult to kill. That Jinx did not have any items on her. I think it was just a call for VZZ, so you cannot put down too much damage. And without the Gangplank ultimate coming from the top side from Acidy, you cannot really fend off K-Corp right there. As you will see, Synchro was the target from the side of Macko, and even though VZZ and C-Boy focused on the Dragon and got the first Dragon for themselves, it ends up being a very favorable trade for the side of K-Corp right there. You see that VZZ and Six then actually flashed through to kill off that Sylas in the end. But VZZ, not enough damage right here. Level 6 on Kalista as well from getting that kill. Solidified the fade for Macko. They did get what they came for, which was the Dragon, and only 400 gold down for themselves. Not the worst, but it wasn't the best of trades.
Wasn't the best. I mean, the additional kill did go onto Targamas, and he got the first blood gold, so there's a silver lining there for Macko.
Yeah.
We did see, you know, the problem you have when you are playing a Jinx with no items, or at least just a cold. The damage was a little bit low. Synchro needs to be careful here. Has been spotted out. Targamas is also in the area. They don't have their ADC, though, so this could get a little bit dicey. Catching onto Synchro with the zap will reveal him as they actually throw the ultimate out. Misses onto all of them. Does get the knock-up, though. Click charges forwards, and now Synchro losing a lot of HP. The Magnustorm comes down, and that should be a kill. Click's able to secure a VZZ, surviving for a little bit, and Kalista's not going to find the kill. They do answer out. Support for Jungler. Very close fight.
That was a 1-for-1 on a 4 versus 3 in favor of KC. So KC actually missed out on this one because while all this was going on, look at C-Boy's inventory. He's yoinked the Rift Herald right off of that river, and he can actually choose to pop it down wherever he wants to. Now, of course, you usually want to accelerate a little bit your Jinx right there. Bot lane was winning in the early game, isn't the case, but right here, as you can see, the second coming from the mid lane. There's Kalista from the bot lane as well, and this is a 4 versus 3, but they're all grouped together. So that means that Synchro manages to tank a lot of these hits coming out from Macko's carries, but he just doesn't have the backup from the rest of his team in time. When the rest of the team, of course, comes in, Click ends up falling prey to that 3-man that was coming after from Karmine Corp, and he has managed to get himself 2-0-2 onto a Kai'Sa that's going to be predominantly AD in this particular game. So a lot of scaling into the late game and a lot of killing power coming out from that AD carry.
Absolutely. Well, VZZ is going to pick himself up this plate. They have that Herald, which C-Boy is going to summon. The problem is I don't know if VZZ is going to be able to stay in range of the tower. Synchro is making his way over. It looks like he should be able to. His Targamas is taking a lot of HP. They're going to throw the teleport down as well to make sure that VZZ gets out. Seiken came in on a flank and everything. They used a lot of resources to try and make sure that that tower does lose those plates, and VZZ got the gold. As Seiken charging forward does miss out on the chains there. It's just going to dash away to safety.
Yeah, this is not very traditional Macko gameplay right here. It's not very traditional for them to try and look for fights unless it is for objectives. I feel like they're one of the most disciplined teams that we do have over at EMEA Masters over the years. They do play for these objectives. They play for the tower platings. You saw how they were willing to sacrifice the teleports just to make sure that VZZ stays alive, that they have the numbers advantage to push these bot lane tower platings and get more gold into their Jinx. The Jinx is your win condition right there. Yes, you've got a bunch of damage coming in from the Gangplank and the Ahri, but when it comes to hyper carrying and killing these tanks like the K'Sante and like the Sejuani later on, it is going to be VZZ onto this Jinx putting down the pain. So very good stuff right there. We said it from the beginning when we set up how Macko likes to play. C-Boy does facilitate a lot for VZZ, and VZZ does the heavy lifting, if you will.
And just having a quick look at the gold leads across the board, there's nothing significant on anybody here. In fact, ADCs, they actually fully equalized out a moment ago, but it's slightly ahead for the side of VZZ, but I'm talking 100 gold ahead, so very close. That coal will get cashed in, though, fairly soon for VZZ. He actually decided to reset now instead of staying for another wave. He just wants to get that Kraken Slayer finished up. You know, a lot of discipline to make sure he just hits his spike when he needs it. Also knowing that the Dragon's up, he wanted to have that Kraken Slayer for that. So understandable why he went for that play. Seiken, though, will be looking to chunk out 610, who has no teleport, and That's a pretty big chunk there from Seiken just before the dragon spawns.
That was such a great trade from Seiken, making sure to send 610 all the way back in base, not having the teleport. Even though the resets came through and VZZ did get the Kraken Slayer before Kalist has his first item completed, the entire setup was put down by KC. All the wards that are over in C-Boy's quadrant in the bot side of the map made sure that KC can actually walk in freely. C-Boy is now right there. VZZ still has that Kraken Slayer from base, so I don't know if KC want to push in, but look at the XP difference between Kalist and VZZ. 2 levels apart, just level 8 right here for VZZ. 1.5 levels apart for the 280 carries is kind of huge, and these kills are sort of snowballing Kalist and the Kai'Sa over in the bot lane. Another great exchange right there.
What's really rough is Seiken's got the Merc Treads, so when they both Everfrost each other, 610 doesn't actually get to fire back with his Q because Seiken can dodge the second part of it, where 610 is guaranteed to take the Q. VZZ getting jumped onto here, does try and find it. Cleanse comes out. They're going to use the teleport and everything to try and jump in. Kalist gets caught, but immediately they find their opportunity. Now we've got C-Boy coming in on the flank. Acidy's able to secure himself the kill. 2 people pinned in place, and that damage is absolutely colossal. C-Boy chasing forward a little bit more. Seiken is trying to put the damage in, trying to save the day for his ADC, but C-Boy makes it stick, finds the double kill, gets the bot back and forces Seiken to flash for the double in response.
3 for 2 in favor of Macko right here. Look at the wave in the mid lane, pushed in by 610. He's actually going to go towards the top side of the map to not allow Cabochard to get any more damage down onto this tower. Macko are very adamant and helping VZZ get ahead onto these Jinx. Again, one of the big hitters when it comes to Macko's gameplay right here. You see how they use a lot of their resources into making sure that VZZ survives. Targamas and Kalist are playing a very sneaky game right there. Targamas has to flash over the jumpers to get VZZ. Lovely flash over from VZZ to get away from that, and Click does not hesitate, instantly pulling in Acidy with the teleport as well, communicating that perfectly with the team. And Targamas and Kalist getting caught by these roots from C-Boy from the river was great, but VZZ right there, he's tanking the tower and he gets caught by the stolen Maokai ult. Very well played from Seiken right there to grab the double kill for himself.
Yeah, huge pick up there from Seiken with the Maokai ultimate.
That was
this
so
is what
cool.
we're saying though. There's so many solid ultimates for Seiken to be picking up on the side. It's a very high value pick for him off the back of that. And you know, he's up 1,000 gold in the lane now, 3-1. The Everfrost is a nuisance for when he jumps forward. Pretty much guarantees that you're going to get chain seed by him and chunked out heavily. VZZ, Kraken Slayer, he's got the boots now. He's got the BF sword in his inventory, and looks like Macko want to try and contest onto this second Rift Herald. They're able to pick up that first. Syncroft is first in the area. Seiken's been able to shove in the wave, and Acidy, no teleport on the wrong side of the map. They're going to look to try and find themselves their opportunity. Sliding in forwards, VZZ's putting some damage out. Gets the rocket down. Teleport, though, as Cabochard's going to join into the fray. Health bar's blinking on KC, but they just have more members right now. Acidy's coming in. Can he land the barrels? Just goes in for the Q. Secures the kill with the parlay as VZZ keeping the damage up. Double kill onto Acidy. 610's going to chase forward. Targamas jumps to safety, and Macko make the team fight turn around, and they will take the Herald.
That looked so disastrous in the beginning from Macko. Singer finds the target right there, but they just haven't got enough damage to kill anyone, and Macko hits back. Acidy, the second he sees enemies into the top side river, he makes the way all the way from the bot side of the map to the top side river to assist his team. And Macko, honestly, their team play has been phenomenal start to finish. Anytime Synchro presses that ultimate button, you'll see how everyone piles up to defend whichever member. This time, it was Click getting caught onto this rail. He goes down immediately, but look at C-Boy does not stop. The Ari teleport from the top side is coming in. They're defending VZZ through the choke point, and no one can pressure through that. Acidy comes in, doesn't even bother with the barrels, hits them with the Q straight in the face. And the biggest, tankiest member that they have in the likes of Cassandra in the top lane also falls to another Q. Acidy pretty much bullied everyone away.
I mean, you nailed it earlier when you said discipline. Discipline is the best way to describe Macko. That was such a disciplined fight. They had no flash, no cleanse on BCZ for that fight. And even so, he was still able to survive, still able to put so much damage out for his team and basically buy time for Acidy to come in on the GP, who's now 2 items, got the Quick Blades, got the Essence Reaver. He's very, very far ahead. 2,600 gold in his inventory over Cabochard, and at this point you've got to be terrified. He's about to hit level 13, which is when you get Q and E max, so those barrels gonna have all 5 charges ready to go. And when you've got the Quick Blade as well, the barrel's on a relatively short cooldown. We'll be able to just throw those down as much as possible. And now they're going to use that Herald to pick up this tower. Lovely little barrel chain there from Acidy onto Cabochard and Khalees, and even gets the second barrel as well.
Oh,
down goes the mid lane tower. They're going to walk this in and make sure they get a second charge off.
That was so clever, actually, because if you looked at the positioning of KC, they were looking to go towards that dragon in the bot lane, and Macko have done this to them before. Every time KC pushes for an objective in the river, Macko just pushes straight down mid lane and takes objectives forward. So right here, KC, not only did they not take the dragon that they actually started themselves, but they've actually lost a chunk of damage from the second tier 2 mid and their entire tier 1 mid lane tower, and Macko will be going towards the second dragon. I don't think KC will be contesting this. Cabochard all the way in the top lane, no TP at all, but Acidy might be in the sides. Seiken, Targamas, they're ready to pounce.
Yeah, he's worth money. He's going to be able to avoid away, gets the barrel down, puts out the ultimate as well. Seiken looks to catch onto him, cleanse with the orange into the barrels, they dive. Can Acidy stop by the time? The rocket comes in, it's a little bit too early, and now the turnaround route locking them all down. Targamas able to just about get away from that one. Acidy playing that so disciplined as here comes 610. Misses the charm, but he's got the Spirit Rush. Another 2 to go. Will try and dash forward a couple more times onto these members. Is not going to have that damage to be able to stick. The discipline from Macko. These guys look so clean.
Honestly, I love watching them. Macko coming from the PD Nuts, unaccredited league, minor league, call it what you want. You're expecting to see a lot of brawls, a lot of skirmishes, a lot of fights. That is not the case from Macko. They play a very slow and controlled game. They're willing to pull TPs to save their team members. That's exactly what happened. Acidy bought enough time for the rest of the team to roam towards that bot side of the map and take more kills in Karmine Corp. They might have found themselves 5k gold in the lead in the first game, but right here are 3,000 gold down. Again, from Seiken and Targamas, that's a pretty good take on trying to pin down Acidy. That ultimate doesn't quite hit from Seiken, and when they pin him down, he just regens too much HP. They have to play around his ultimate as well that he threw right on top of himself, and by the time he falls low, guess what? The cavalry is here, quite literally. Rel is there, Maokai is there. Look at Sixten coming in through the mid lane as well from the bot quadrant of Synchrov's jungle. Who would have expected that? They've got the mid lane pushed as well in a pretty even state, so all good from the side of Macko. I feel like the only thing that they have to worry about is that during this time, Cabochard keeps repeatedly pushing a side lane, but at this point, he's not onto a Tryndamere where you actually feel like he's much of a threat, taking down your towers real quickly. He's 3,000 gold behind onto this Cassante. Oh, how the tables have turned from the first game versus Macko, where he was 3,000 gold up on Acidy.
Yeah, absolutely huge stuff coming in. Acidy making himself a bit of a statement recovery from that first time, even though they did win that game, like you said. You know, was the one who was on the back foot. This time, it's not. It's all about him. He's a 3,000 gold lead up in his case right now, rocking those double crit cloaks as well on top of his 2 items. Just wants to make sure that those crits do happen, because team fights can be won or lost based on whether or not those barrels crit. And looking to walk it in, Syncroft does lose a little bit of HP here, is going to get chased off to by C-Boys. In comes Click, gets the Magnet Storm down. 610's doing a lot of work, a lot of damage. That's already 1 kill, picked up for Acidy. Seiken goes down, and it's a shutdown. It's a double kill for Acidy. Just so much gold in the pocket of the GP, and he's just impossible for them to keep pinned down. A 610 is going to lose a little bit of HP here, but not really anything too major. With Syncroft dead, looks like Macko are just going to turn their attention towards this Baron Nashor.
Yeah, it looks really dire right here from Casey. I'm not sure Watson saw in this engage, but it looked really difficult for anyone else to follow up from the team. Again, you're playing with two very short range carries. Seiken in the mid lane, piloting the Sylas, very short range melee champion. Kalista onto that Kai'Sa, extremely short range champion as well when it comes to the more ranged AD carries, and also wants to play with a little bit more of a split fight. Talking about split fights, that's exactly what this one was for Karmine Corp. As you can see, Cabochard just TP'd in. You've got two members from the top side of the jungle, and C-Boy just pressures in, but Kalista and Cabochard cannot join. Sixten and VZZ are keeping them out, and it's just so much easier for VZZ to play through this choke point than it is for Kalist. You've got to find a way to play through your Kai'Sa's strengths. You need to find a way to engage the backline, find VZZ potentially with a Targamas ult, or with Seiken finding a good kind of barrage or an Ari ult. For Kalist to jump into the backline with you, the front to back is just not necessarily working with these types of champions from KC.
It's so scary as well, because Athady now level 15 on the GP, and Cabochard, the highest level on his team, level 14. He is a whole level down, and for Seiken and Kalist, they're going to be going into a 3-item GP, who's just going to be absolutely melting their health bars. And there's nothing really KC can do.
I don't want to see what happens to Targamas when he meets Acidy's Q or one of his barrels, because he's 6 levels down on Acidy. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. If he takes 50% of Seiken's HP when he's 1 level difference on Acidy, Targamas might just fall. He might just straight up die.
I think you might be right, especially if the 4 items still has a collector as well. It's so doomed. You will get one shot by that one. As Macko just looking to siege up onto this bottom tower here. Acidy trying to get the barrel chain off, not able to do so. Targamas coming in on the flank. Acidy knows he's in the area though. 610's also pretty much aware of this. The fight's breaking out. VZZ has remained untouched though. They can't even get close to him. Throwing all of their CC onto C-Boy. In they jump. The Magnus Sword return though. Macko in a little bit of danger, but they find themselves the turnaround. VZZ is excited. Goes for the ultimate. Seiken goes for the stopwatch. They're going to zap. They're going to lock him down. And 610 secures the kill. It was a heroic attempt there from KC, but Macko, they fired back so perfectly. VZZ spacing in these team fights is just flawless.
That was beautiful team fighting right there from Macko, and honestly the most valiant effort I've seen today from KC trying to play their type of play style. Right here also Macko extremely disciplined. They're not gonna pressure any further, and as we're seeing this one again, Targamas had a pretty good flank from the get-go, but he sees that he gets spotted onto a ward right there where he clears it out, and he needs to get out of dodge or he's gonna get engaged. On the other hand side, on the front, you see Click, you see C-Boy, they're tanking for VZZ, and look at that, Targamas starts charging the ultimate. He dives straight into the backline, which allows Kalist and Seiken to get right on top of VZZ, but it's just not enough because VZZ has both of his summoners. He's able to get away by the skin of his teeth. But honestly, this was the first team fight that I've seen KC pull off where they actually played towards their strengths and they tried to get that Kai'Sa straight onto the backline. Now, if they can replicate this in some way where VZZ does not have his flash available for the next couple of minutes, it could potentially be a comeback, but let's not fool ourselves. This is still a 9,000 gold lead for the side of Macko. It's still 3 dragons, and in 2 minutes, there's a Baron that KC are going to have to fight for, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I think the thing is while, yeah, they have now a window where they could potentially punish VZZ, one team fight doesn't win you the game. They've got, what, 2 towers down? No, 1 tower down, sorry, from the side of KC. So it'll be a good recovery for gold if they can find a team fight victory, but it's going to be a tall ask for them to be able to find that. And Macko quite happy just to play the flank game here, siege up onto this tower. Cabochard's taking so much damage from those barrels, chunked out heavily. Down goes that last tower outside the base, and with super minions pushing up on the bot side, we did see Seiken get a grip hold of that area, but they can use the Macko ultimate to make sure that they stay in control of the tower. Does crumble here, unfortunately, for the side of KC, and Seiken, he steals away the Macko ultimate, but not really going to find an opportunity to use it, unfortunately.
There will be a fight very soon. 1 minute and 30 seconds for the Baron and Macko. They're already sending Click back to base. You need a lot more control wards. You have a bunch of them, as you can see on the top quadrant of the jungle, making sure that you have all the vision required to start a Baron. You can also cause a re-engage onto KC, bait them into checking up the Baron and then picking up a fight. You actually have more damage right now when it comes to Macko, because VZZ is one of the main carries of this team, but even when he dies, Acity, level 16 Gangplank, 16, level 16 Ari. And I know that Nightmare will be molding with the items that this Ari has, but this is still a level 16 Ari, and she pulls off a lot of damage even with these items. And even if her job is to be a CC bot, it's a pretty good CC bot.
Yeah, well, they're just going to pin Cabochard in place. He can jump away all he likes, but he will get run down. VZZ just free fire it off. Seiken does throw the ultimate down. VZZ will get clipped by the follow-up of the ult there. And it does look like Seiken should just be able to jump away with that empowered blast cone to safety. But losing Cabochard just before Baron spawns is going to be really painful for the side of Karmine Corp. And it looks like the Italians are going to be going 4-0 in Group C.
Wow, okay. If you jinx that, it's your caster curse, not mine.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, of course. Losing Cabochard right here means that it's very difficult for you to face check. You do have Synchro still. But as you will see right here, KC are prioritizing getting a little bit more farm onto Kalist in the bot lane. They're going to push out that wave. Your priority usually when your enemy team gets that Baron is to push out the waves as much as possible and delay that pressure coming in with the Baron up minions up to the point where they reach the base, clearing up the, of course, super minions that are coming from the bot side for Kalist. Let's see what he's going to have in his inventory. Potentially even more AD or something like a stopwatch. Okay, it's going to be the last Whisper coming in. Slowly but surely for Kalist. Very important, especially since you have a Maokai and a Rel in your face that have pretty high defenses. It's a very difficult task right here, because we're talking about they have a very small window. Targamas is on the flank. He does have the flash. VZZ still does not. Targamas did start the previous fight. It was pretty huge for them. If he does find VZZ in the backline, if you fly Seiken and Kalist into the backline, this could be a winning fight to start turning it around.
Let's see if Targamas can pull it off.
4
Looking
seconds,
for those
3.
barrels. They do look for the potential turnaround. They are going to root them in place. VZZ has his flash off now. Targamas jumps immediately in onto him, but it's so hard to find that answer back as they do throw down the Maokai ultimate. The rocket comes in. VZZ remains untouched and Seiken can't survive. Kalist jumps into everyone, but he is taken out by the parlay. 6-10 chasing Syncroft further towards his fountain, further towards safety, but as the inhibitor respawns on the bottom side, they've got the Baron minions, they've got the inhibitor, they've got everything they need to close this game out. Karmine Corp, they couldn't do it 2 times in a row. Macko are going to go 4-0 up in Group C.
You thought it was a fluke that Macko made quarterfinals for the first time ever for PG Nats over in spring. Well, they're doing it again, 4-0. If I'm not wrong, that pretty much guarantees that they're going to be moving forward. If not, at least guaranteed them a tiebreaker or something. I feel like 4-0 is most likely an in. That is incredible stuff coming from them. I feel this is the most we've seen a team play cohesively, perfect to the T, League of Legends, very macro-based, very protective of your AD carry. I feel like that was such stellar stuff that we had right there.
Well, we have C-Boy standing by after that game for a quick chat. So let's bring C-Boy in. How are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
I mean, you've honestly had an absolutely amazing showing so far at the EMEA Masters. What have you guys, what's happened within your team where you're just able to go 4-0 in a group with Karmine Corp, beat them twice? How have you guys achieved this?
I think we had I think it all started from last EMEA Masters. We had a pretty good showing in our group. We also had a rough group last time. And we kind of just, we wanted more this time than last, so we just worked a lot harder than before, and it's paying off. We're just playing together as a team, and it's, very nice to play.
C-Boy, you have stayed in the same team for almost 2 years now, 1.5 years, I want to say, and it feels like you gave a lot of promise to people from the PZ Nats making quarterfinals over in spring. And right now, you guys remained with the same team. How do you feel like the development has been with the team? Because you guys are playing such great League of Legends, your macro, your movements, the backup, your team fighting is stellar. How has the development been?
Yeah, I've been with Macko for, I think, 2.5 years, and I had like a year, like a split break in Bifrost in between. But other than that, like everything just clicks in this team. It's like we're not just like co-workers. Like we have a lot of fun together, like outside of the game as well. Like we do so many things together, and it's I think that's also one of the reasons we're doing so good. Like it feels like we're like getting close friends as well. So it's always a pleasure, like getting to scrims, like doing like VOD review, doing all the prep. Like it's not as rough as if we didn't like each other, and it's yeah.
I mean, it's good to hear that you know, things are good over there. And speaking of like things just being good over there in general, obviously we saw Desire play yesterday. They didn't have quite the performance you guys have had, but still looking like a pretty formidable team. Do you just feel like the PG Nats have stepped up their game and are now becoming, you know, a region that is actually one that needs to be taken seriously? Do you feel like that has kind of helped into your performance, where you're actually playing versus good teams over in the PG Nats?
Yeah, I think it for sure helped. I think Desire is a really good team. I think they could have won the last game they played as well. Like it was a 40-minute game or something where it was just like team fight after team fight, and it was really close. And like yeah, I think the top teams of PG are really good, and I think the rest are kind of staying the same. Like, but we have Desire where we're like, we also scrimmed them a bit, and they were doing really good in that too. And it was like PG has been improving a lot from just like previous split. Like the top teams we're sent to EMEA Masters, they are very good.
I mean, I can't argue with you on that one, to be honest, mate. You guys are you're talking the talk and you're walking the walk. Congratulations on that win, and good luck with your games coming up for the rest of today. And we'll speak to you later. All right, see you later.
Thank you. See ya.
Nice to hear that from C-Boy. Honestly, PG Nats, these guys are coming in as a serious contender at EMEA Masters, and obviously, you know, I think it's showing, and I think showing us that last spring, well, the spring just gone, wasn't a flash in the pan. This is a serious region. They're developing into a region which is showing us that they're very, very capable. Anyway, we're moving so quick. We are going to throw to a quick break. When we're back, we're going to have Northstis from Augusta taking on Natives. So we'll see you after for that for game 2. Wow.
Wow.